Algeria's army is 55,000 strong, well-disciplined, tested under fire. Boumediène built the army on Marxist principles. They should march, he said, with a gun in one hand and a shovel in the other. Out of them, with mainly Russian equipment, he formed the most formidable fighting force in the Arab world. Fundamentally, it was this force that won Algeria's freedom and put Ben Bella in power. Now, this same force has toppled Ben Bella. Algiers has had its fill of riots and bloodshed in the past 10 years. This week, violence returned once again to the street as students demanded the return of Ben Bella, and the forces of the man who deposed him, Colonel Boumediène, drove them off. Reports of 10 killed in similar riots at Boumédiène in eastern Algeria are denied by the authorities. The rioters shouted, "Boumedienne to the gallows," and "Long live Ben Bella." The protest in the cities appears to be spontaneous. It certainly hasn't abated. Boumedienne has the army behind him and the paramilitary security force. But will they stay loyal if the demonstrations go on? For how long could they, in the last resort, hold down fellow countrymen? Boumedienne's takeover was a model of its kind, sudden, swift and bloodless. His tanks moved to key positions in Algiers early on Saturday morning. By daybreak, it seemed all over. Ben Bella was arrested at the presidential residence, the Villa Jolie, with nothing more ominous than the sound of breaking glass from his bedroom. It was all accomplished so quickly and smoothly that many citizens of Algiers on Saturday morning thought that the tanks were out for shooting of a film about the war of liberation against the French. But behind the scenes, Ben Bella had already been spirited away. It isn't known exactly where, and Boumedienne had taken over as head of a National Revolutionary Council. The people of Algeria learnt all this for the first time around noon over their radios.
Un Conseil de la Révolution a été créé.
The broadcast said Ben Bella would be tried for treason and promised him the fate reserved by history for all despots. What of the man who dared depose Ben Bella? Colonel Boumediène, a man of near fanatical austerity, spoke soon after the takeover.
Pour moi, l'importance, c'est-à-dire la mission.
He says it's his mission that matters to him, not his title. He's not anti-French, he's anti-colonialist.
Je suis contre le colonialisme.
And it looked as though the takeover would go through as quietly and efficiently as it had started. For most of Sunday, the people of Algiers read newspaper accounts of the silent revolution of the day before and gathered in small groups to discuss what had happened to their country, what would happen to their former leader Ben Bella. But this was the calm before the storm. Despite the distribution of leaflets explaining the takeover, the rioting was to start in the streets of Algiers that evening. From then on, it began to look increasingly as if Boumedienne had seriously underestimated the popularity of Ben Bella. Algeria's army is 55,000 strong, well-disciplined, tested under fire. Boumedienne built the army on Marxist principles. They should march, he said, with a gun in one hand and a shovel in the other. Out of them, with mainly Russian equipment, he formed the most formidable fighting force in the Arab world. Fundamentally, it was this force that won Algeria's freedom and put Ben Bella in power. Now, this same force has toppled Ben Bella. Three years ago, Boumedienne flew into an Algiers that was preparing to celebrate its independence after 7 bitter years of war. There were rumors of rivalry, but nothing tangible to indicate that Boumedienne would not support Ben Bella to the hilt. Ben Bella's efficient propaganda machine helped him to high personal popularity at home. Abroad, he became a leading voice in the Arab world, a friend of communist China. Now he's accused of treason, morbid love of power, mystification, and adventurism. His downfall came on the eve of a great personal triumph, the Afro-Asian Summit Conference in Algiers next Tuesday, due to be attended by the leaders of 50 powers. Boumediène is still preparing for the conference to go on, but it seems likely it'll be a sadly depleted affair. Many Afro-Asians, including some of the Commonwealth leaders, are refusing to go, despite strenuous attempts by Boumediène to get them there. Two delegates from the new regime are in London now, trying to persuade the Commonwealth premiers to change their minds. Today I asked Mr. Judy whether the new regime meant any switch in foreign policy.
I would like to stress that the basic aspect of our army is that it is an army which takes its roots in the people. And it's an army which has been born during the years of fighting. This being said, as far as the policy is concerned, there will be absolutely no change. We have outlined our policy very clearly. We have restated it again through the proclamation of the Revolutionary Council and through various statements of our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Abdelaziz Bouteflika. We shall continue with just as much vigor to work towards the aims which the Charter has assigned to us: African unity, non-alignment, peace and cooperation, and so forth and so on. There will be absolutely no change. Now, with regard to these wild assumptions about China or any other country being behind it, I would like only to remind people who like to distort news that we have fought for 7.5 years to become independent. And our policy is dictated only by the will to serve our own country and dictated by Algerian thoughts.
In the light of pro-Ben Bella demonstrations, would you agree with reports that Colonel Boumediène badly underestimated Ben Bella's popularity?
Well, with regard to the situation in Algeria, I should like to go and witness by yourself the reaction. Things are absolutely calm. Everything is stable. The government has been kept as it is. The instances of the party have remained as they are. It is true that there has been a demonstration, but I would like to emphasize that these demonstrations have been made by small groups of children. There is no other words to say it, between 13 and 17.
Some of the Algiers demonstrators seemed a little on the husky side, to be children. Even so, the children and students of today are the leaders of tomorrow, and Boumediène's immediate task must be to win them round before he can safely boast that his revolution has been a success. And beyond that, there's a far greater task: the economic rehabilitation of a country still suffering the effects of its 7-year fight for freedom. A land of 11 million people where 1 million are unemployed.